child has been in a fatal car accident. The #1 reason for teenage deaths is car accidents. In high school, I personally experienced the loss of a friend who was a driver in a fatal car crash, killing herself and injuring 2 others. We need to better prepare teen drivers for the responsibilities and obstacles that come with the privilege of driving. Today I'm going to talk to you about the teens that are most at risk, the teenage brain, how a teenage driver can affect all of our lives, and how we can better train teen drivers to prepare them for the responsibility of driving. Let's talk about risk factors. There are some people who are statistically more likely to die due to a motor vehicle accident as teens than others. Male drivers are at the greatest risk. The death rate for male teen drivers and their passengers was nearly 2 times that of a female driver and her passengers. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 37% of male teen drivers between the ages of 15 and 20 who were involved in a deadly crash were speeding. 26% were drinking. 12.5% of male high school students admit to not wearing a seatbelt. According to the statistics, male teens are more likely to engage in these risky behaviors than their female counterparts. If a teenage driver has a passenger, this also increases the risk. The crash risk for a teenage driver increases with each passenger in the vehicle. A study conducted by the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development found that both male and female teen drivers were more likely to tailgate and drive at a speed that is greater than that of general traffic if there was a male passenger in the car. A quarter of them went over the speed limit by 15 miles an hour or more when there was a male passenger in the car. This particular study was not able to determine the exact reason that adding passengers to a teen driver's vehicle makes it more risky, particularly in the presence of a male passenger. What is it about teens that make them so likely to be involved in a fatal car crash? The root of the problem can likely be traced to the adolescent brain. There have been scientific breakthroughs that shed some light as to why teens are so at risk for deadly car accidents. During the teen years, a process called myelination is occurring in the teen brain. Myelination affects the part of the brain that controls planning, impulse control, decision-making, and multiple other functions. The American Driver and Traffic Safety Education Association likens this to turbocharging the brain, causing it to make faster connections. While the brain is making faster connections, it doesn't have a very extensive bank of experiences to draw conclusions from, as an early adult might. Another explanation for this has to do with the white matter of the brain according to the Public Library of Science. White matter is what connects the regions of the brain where the nerve cells are to each other. This study has found that the more white matter in the brain, or the more mature the brain, that the brain pathways are, the more prone the teens are to take risk, contrary to previous beliefs. Although the brain is more mature, the teens are trying to be more adult-like in their risk-taking. So if you aren't a teenager and you don't have a teenager at home, you don't have to worry, right? Wrong. Teen drivers are not the only people at risk. In fact, everyone in their path, including non-motorists, are at risk. According to Robert Darbelnet, the president and CEO of AAA, for each teen driver that's killed in a motor vehicle accident, almost twice as many other people die. Let's break that down a bit further for you. A study of U.S. crash data shows that there were 28,138 people killed by teen drivers between the ages of 15 and 17 in crashes from 1998 to 2007. 39.6% of the deaths were the teen driver. 31.4% of the fatalities were passengers in the teen driver's vehicle. 24.4% of the deaths were people in other vehicles, and 7.3% of the fatalities were non-motorists who were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Teen drivers are an issue that can affect all of our lives. So how do we protect the world from teenage drivers? While the statistics are scary about the risk of teenage drivers, the majority of them are not going to be responsible for the loss of life. We need to better prepare our teenagers for the obstacles that they will face on the road. Issuing extended time frame driver's permits is one way to get the teens ready. A teenager should have to have a driving permit for at least a year before a driver's license is issued. During that time that they have their driver's permit, they should have to log a minimum of 100 hours of supervised driving. After experiencing an average of 2 hours per week, a teenager would have experienced many different situations on the road. There should also be a more comprehensive driver's education program. It should be mandatory. During the program, teenagers should be exposed to everything from the laws and street signs to how to change a tire, and even stories about what happens when you don't take your driving privileges seriously. And parents must be on the forefront of this driving education process. The parents are responsible for setting an appropriate example for their children. This means no talking or texting on the cell phone while driving, and parents should also be obeying the speed limits and other laws. Parents should be diligent about allowing their teens the opportunity for supervised driving. Let your teen drive you to the supermarket and back, or have them drive the car for you to drop them off at a friend's house. Until the teenager has archived experiences in their brain's database, they don't have any experiences to base their decisions off of. So what's the right answer? The facts point to the solution that teenagers should continue to be allowed to get their license at the age of 16 like they do now, not the age of 18. It's not the age of the person, but the life experience and supportive parenting that will keep your teenager and everyone on the road around them safe. If you have a teenager in your life, be that positive role model for them and lead by example. I don't want for you to be the one receiving that late night phone call.